Hey, friends, it's Zion. It's time for Bible Teaching Thursday. Our epistle reading for this second to last Sunday in the church year comes from Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 5. Again, these letters to the Thessalonians were primarily oriented toward correcting their understanding about end times and Jesus' return and the timing of all that, and also encouraging us to be ready for that day. And so they are very fitting then for the end of the church year, where that's the theme, is the coming of Christ and his judgment. Those themes continue into Advent, really all the way up until Christmas. So this is a time of year that we annually celebrate this emphasis. Of course, to be awake and alert and sober and waiting for Christ's return is a posture we should have all year long. But it's nice to reiterate that again, at least on our annual celebration of the end of the church year. So in this reading, you see the verse there. So then let us not sleep as others do, but let us keep awake and be sober. Paul talks about others who are caught up in deeds of darkness, and he encourages us to live as children of the day in deeds of light and goodness, because Jesus is coming, he says, like a thief in the night, as Jesus said, at an hour we do not expect. And we don't want to find ourselves caught up in deeds of darkness. Well, how are we going to avoid that? By staying awake, alert, watching for Christ's return, living each day saying, Jesus could come today. How would I want him to find me? Being sober about the realities of our world. Paul here is talking about sobriety and the fact of not drunkenness. He specifically says, those who get drunk at night. Live as a child of the day, live in the light of day, not in deeds of darkness. And so, yes, sober bodies, not drunken or addicted to substances we put in ourselves that would cause us to turn away from God's promises, but also a sobriety about the reality of our world that we live in, judging it, being perceiving. You've heard people say, wake up to a sober reality of things. Well, what does that mean? Just a right judgment of things, to see the world clearly for what it is, to see God's teachings clearly for what they are, to be awake and alert enough to adjudicate between the two so that we don't find ourselves, and we talk about people say on the wrong side of history. Well, I'll tell you what the ultimate wrong side of history is being caught up in darkness and not in light on the day of Jesus' return. And so we remind ourselves of that each and every day. That's part of how we prepare for his coming again. And that's what Paul is encouraging the Thessalonians to, and us as well, as we live in our world today. Let us then not sleep as others do, but keep awake and be sober. 1 Thessalonians 5:6. God's continued peace to you. Blessings on your Thursday.